Assalamualaikum and hello. I'm going to continue with the next video about nomenclature of carboxylic acid. We are going to learn how to give the name for selected structure of carboxylic acid based on their IUPAC nomenclature. I'm going to start with aliphatic carboxylic acid where we have with one carboxyl group. So if you got aliphatic carboxylic acids with one carboxyl group, you have to follow step 1. You have to determine the parent carboxylic acid. This is where your longest carbon chain must contain carboxyl group. And the next one, step number 2, you have to give the name for carboxylic acid by using the suffix for their family name. The alphabet E here will change with oic acid, and there will be space between oic and acid. Next one, the last step, if you got any substituents attached to your parent of carboxylic acid, you must use the alphabetical order as prefix. And your position for carboxyl group, that carbon that attached to double bond O and OH group, must be positioned at number 1. So let's try example 1 with a few structures here. So I'm going to start with structure A. As you see here, you got step number 1, determine the parent carboxylic acid, which will be the whole thing here. And then the next step, I'm going to give the numbering for my carbon that contain carboxyl group. It will be this carbon. So this carbon will be first carbon, second and third. So you got the whole carbon chain here, which will be your parent for carboxylic acid. And as you see here, there is no substituents attached to it. So when you have alkane with 3 carbon atoms, you call it as propane. But right now you have to change E at the end of the propane with oic acid. So the name for this structure will be propanoic acid. Let's go to structure B. I have here my carboxyl group. This is it. And this carbon will be my first carbon, 1, 2, and 3. So you can see that it's still propanoic acid with this one as my parent chain. And you have to realize here you got one substituent, which is chloro at position carbon number 2. So if you want to give the name for this one, follow all the steps until step 3. You have to put the prefix for your substituents first. The name will be 2-chloropropanoic acid. Let's try structure C. This is my carboxyl group, and this one will be my first carbon. And next, I have second carbon here. And if you go up, you only got 3 carbon chains. So if you go straight to the left, you can get more than 3. So I'm going to choose towards to the left. So I have here the third carbon, and this is the fourth carbon. So this whole thing here will be my parent chain. So my parent chain is 4 carbon atoms with carboxyl group. The name of parent will be butanoic acid. However, you got substituents here. The first one is chloro, and the second one is methyl. So between methyl and chloro, I'm going to put based on alphabetical order. I'm going to choose C first, followed by M. So let's give the full name for this one. It will be chloro first, so 3-chloro. And after that, you got methyl at second position of your carbon, so 2-methyl. And your parent is butanoic acid. So this is the full name for structure C. Let's continue with the last structure D. I have here, is it in skeletal structure? So don't forget to follow the step. I'm going to determine my parent chain. So let's see which one the carbon that holds the carboxyl group. As you see here, this is it. So this one will be your carboxyl group automatically this carbon will be number 1. And the next one you have number 2 here, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to go up 6, and then whichever side it will be the 7th carbon. Now we have here this whole thing as my parent chain. As you see from here, starting here all together until here. So the rest of them will be the substituents. So I have here my substituents, 2 of them at different position of carbon atom, which will be bromo. So this is dibromo, 2 of them. And the next one I have 2 here to indicate dimethyl. So between bromo and methyl, which one I'm going to choose as the first one for prefix? Follow the alphabetical order. I'm going to choose B here and M here. B comes first. So bromo is at position carbon number 3 and 4. So I will put my full name 3,4 dash dibromo. And the next one I have my methyl at position carbon number 5 and 6. So it will be dash 5,6 dash dimethyl. And the next one I have my parent with 7 carbon atoms that contain carboxyl group. The name of the parent will be heptanoic acid. Because there is no space here, I'm going to continue down below here. So the name will be heptanoic acid. If it's in the one line, so heptanoic must be close together with dimethyl. Except for this one, must be a space between heptanoic and acid. So this is the full name for structure D. Let's go to the second case where you have aliphatic carboxylic acid with 2 carboxyl groups. So first thing first, the same step 1, you have to determine the parent carboxylic acid. But this case, the longest carbon chain must contain carboxyl group with 2 of them. And the next step, if you want to give the name for your carboxylic acid, you have to use the corresponding alkane as alkane dioic acid. So you have to determine how many carbon atoms for your alkane, and both ends must be ended with carboxyl group. So you have to realize here, carboxyl group will be always at the end of the chain, either at the left side or at the right side. So if you see example 2 here, I got this structure where you want to give the name for this one. I will calculate my first carbon will be from whichever side I want. So I got here first, second, third, fourth and fifth carbon. So 5 of them, and at position carbon number 5 and number 1 I have carboxyl group. So the name will be 5 carbon atoms for your alkane is pentane, and you have dioic acid to indicate the 2 carboxyl groups. So this will be the first name. Or if you want to give another style for the naming, you can write the position of your carboxyl group which are at first carbon and at the fifth carbon. So I'm going to write down 1,5 dash, and you can give your naming for your alkane pentane dioic acid. Make sure there is a space between dioic and acid, a space here. So this is the naming for example 2. You have to understand as well, some common names can be used for your carboxylic acid. I'm going to start with the IUPAC nomenclature for carboxylic acid with 1 carbon. As usual, we know that as methanoic acid, but the common name for methanoic acid will be formic acid. Next one, we got ethanoic acid with 2 carbon atoms. As you see from this structure, it also can be called as acetic acid. And the next one, you have propanoic acid with 3 carbon atoms, as in this structure. The name for that can also be propionic acid. And the next one, you have 4 carbon atoms that contain carboxyl group. We call it as butanoic acid. The other name for that is butyric acid. And last one, you got pentanoic acid with 5 carbon atoms that contain carboxyl group. The common name for that is valeric acid. So I hope you can know and understand there will be another name for 5 structures here, starting from metanoic acid until pentanoic acid. So that's it for this video. I'm going to continue for the next naming in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.